Today is the 7th of April. It's Wednesday, 11 o'clock. Now, the reason I date these things is that when you are listening to a lecture, and I post it on our YouTube channel, then you know which one you're listening to. It's pointless listening to a lecture that you've already attended. So today, our lecture, I like to put this as a meeting note. If you check out meeting details, I actually tell you what I'm going to talk about. So in today's lecture, I presented a little mini video on why do we need to program. And in that video, you would have seen will.i.am, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. So I'll put that link. It's on YouTube, and it talks about coding. Yesterday, I mentioned to you coding is similar to programming. We are studying information technology, IT, and IT deals with coding. So if you have time, watch that video. Well, I should actually say if you have data, you should watch that video. All right, so that link is on YouTube. I've included that on the meeting details as well. Then the other thing I'd like to go through is Chapter 2 key terms. Last week, I did Chapter 1 with you and I did Chapter 2. I gave you the PowerPoints for Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Today, I'm just going to talk to you very briefly regarding the key terms from Chapter 2. Because in your understanding of information technology, you need to be able to give a definition that's aligned to the curriculum of our course, which is information technology. For instance, if I had to use the word algorithm, an algorithm has a number of steps that are finite, that has a particular order in which it's doing, and it has to accomplish a particular task. That would be a definition of algorithm in a programming context. If I had to use the word recipe, then I will tell you that a recipe to bake a cake, you need eggs, flour, salt, you need to mix the eggs with the flour. That would be a definition for a baker. But we're not baking a cake, we're talking information technology. And more specifically, we're talking about ERP. So let me take you through Chapter 2. Now, I've posted this on the WhatsApp group. So I have key terms posted on WhatsApp, and I also gave you or posted the link to our lecture. All right. You should be able to see the screen that says IT5 lecture. I wonder why that's not appearing. Let me go back to it. You should see the screen popping up. Mr. Hadebe, are you able to see the screen that says Chapter 2 key terms?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm unable to see that. It says on my screen. Oh, great, great. So let's go through the terms. Advanced Business Application Program. Now that appeared in Chapter 2. Let's talk about that because we are dealing with ERP systems. We're talking about a particular programming language, an advanced business application program, the SAP ERP internal programming language. So SAP is a program. It's written in a particular language. I mentioned that to you yesterday. And we're not going to be learning how to program it, Mr. Hadebe. That you'll have to do another course, and that'll take you a good couple of years to do, right? But what you need to do is you need to go to Google Digital Skills, and you need to do the online course on coding. And I hope you started with that because that's going to be your first assessment. So they talk about the advanced business application, programming. Asset management. The asset management module. In SAP, you have a module that deals with assets. This helps a company manage the fixed asset purchases, your plant and machinery, and the related depreciation that goes with it. So if you had to have computers or office furniture or particular equipment, that's regarded as your asset management module in the SAP context. Best practice. In chapter 2, we spoke about best practice is the best and most efficient way of handling a certain business process. Now, I'm considering that using ERP systems should and could be considered best practice. Maybe you will discover that, hey, we don't need to use ERP systems. We should use something else. I don't know what that something else is. All right. Let's go on to the next term. Let's go to the next term, and the next term is client-server architecture. Now, in information technology, client-server architecture, like I mentioned to you last week, you can be considered a client, and I'm your server. I'm supposed to be the one that's all-knowing. I know what your curriculum is all about for information technology. You are accessing my resources. So a central computer arrangement in which data is stored in a central computer, a server, and is downloaded to a local PC. So if you had to access my Moodle classroom, or you had to access my MS Teams, and I have a resource out there that says IT5 lecture at 11 a.m., 7th of April, key terms chapter 2, and you download that to your computer, you are now accessing my notes, and you are the client and I am your server. So you're looking at a good couple of years ago, that's how it traditionally took place, where you had the client-server architecture, centralized processing of data. If you were a business and you had companies located around the country, you'll have one business that would be regarded as the headquarters of your company, and you would be considered having branches all over, and if they needed, they would have to access it at a central location. Now, some of the disadvantages to this is, let's say, for instance, they're experiencing load shedding in your headquarters. So all the branches of their company would not have access to it. Let's go on. In SAP, by the way, I'm going to apply for SAP Access, and I'm going to take you through to a SAP module. So why I'm talking to you all about this control module in SAP and ERP and asset management module, hopefully you're going to see this in action. Let's say controlling module, a module in SAP that is used for internal management purposes. The software assigns a company's manufacturing costs to products and to cost centers, facilitating cost analysis. Now, when you see SAP in action, hopefully this will mean a little bit more in terms of what I'm talking to you as a key term in chapter 2. Think of SAP as being our MS Word or MS Excel or PowerPoint, right? So here I am teaching you word processing, and I'm using Word, MS Word, to teach you how to type. So here I am talking about ERP, and I'm going to use SAP as an example to convey the concepts from ERP. Let's talk about a data management system, technology that stores database records in an organized fashion and allows for easy retrieval of the data. You sitting out there are a student. You are part of a data management system at DUT. The data management system at DUT has a unique way of accessing your data. In order for me to access anything about you, all I have to do is use your student number and access your student record from the database system, right? Electronic data interchange, EDI, a computer-to-computer transfer of standard data documents that allows companies to handle the purchasing processes electronically. Now, I asked you to try out Standard Bank Web Trader. Standard Bank Web Trader, you had the opportunity to buy and sell stock. You did not make a physical purchase. You did not go to a stockbroker, fill in a form or a deposit slip or whatever, go to a bank and buy. You did everything electronically. So here's a definition from chapter 2 and something that we had done practically. What's a financial accounting module? Accounting processes that deal with documenting the transaction of a company. Now that you'll talk about with your auditing lecture, or your taxation lecture, or your accounting lecture. But here I am talking to you from an IT perspective that we have to have a module called a financial accounting module in this ERP system, because if we want to place an order for stock, we need to ensure that we have the money for that stock. If we had to sell an item and the customer returns the item, then our stock inventory must increase, and now we don't have a sale, we have a return, and that needs to be brought back into our inventory system. Now this ERP system, you must think of it as all-encompassing. You have the HR module, the financial accounting module, the asset management module, and all of them put together work in conjunction and integrate amongst themselves. Right? Let's talk another one term from chapter 2, HR module. Functional area of businesses that manages recruiting, training, evaluating, and compensating employees. So at Durban University of Technology, we have an HR department. If I need to talk about my leave application, my salary, my benefits, like my pension or study remission of fees or whatever, I will be talking to the HR system. Let's go into the next term, a legacy system. A legacy system is an older or often outdated information system. For example, Windows 95 is a legacy system of the Windows operating system. It's a program that we used in Windows 95. The word will tell you 1995, and in Windows 95 we had icons, and with using icons we were able to access the computer system. For example, the little icon that looked like a bin, that was the recycle bin. Even though that system, 1995 or Windows 3.11, had a recycle bin or a yellow icon that looked like a file, that legacy system, we still use it today in 2021. So these ERP systems are based on old systems, but the changes that take place should be minimal so that people working with systems don't all of a sudden have to start retraining themselves, getting into a new operating system and working with what's going on. Material requirements planning, MRP, a production scheduling methodology that determines the timing and quantity of production and purchase order releases to meet a master production schedule. This process uses the bill of material, lot size data, material lead times. Now, yesterday and the day before, I think I spoke, not day before, that was a public holiday. Last week, I spoke to you about materials requirements planning, and I used the example of a motor car in an assembly line. And I told you the final stage of assembling this motor car, they needed tires. Think of that as material requirements planning. Think of it as 10 motor vehicles are manufactured or assembled in a day. We need 40 tires to be available so that the car can roll off the production line. Modules, individuals, programs that can be purchased, installed, and run separately, but all extract data from the common database. Now, in ERP systems, you'll have these modules, the asset management module, the financial accounting module, the HR module, the materials module. But all of them, even though they are separate from each other, but they have to integrate with each other. Now, if you watch videos of the history of ERP systems, you'll notice that long ago, and I think we used this last week in the example of the bakery, where you had a family-owned bakery, and then you discovered, oh, you don't want to have a family-owned bakery anymore. You want to start a bakery at a company of that. You now employ 10,000 workers. In order to do that, you'll need 1 ton of flour every day. You need to have a courier system, a delivery system, blah, 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 all that goes with it. So you no longer are able to work individually or separately. You now need to have an integration of modules amongst HR, financial accounting, asset management, or materials module. The word open architecture from chapter 2. Software that allows the integration with third-party software. SAP ERP is an example of open architecture software. The term can also be applied to hardware products. Now, I'll give you an example that I can think of in terms of open architecture. If I want to use, let's say, MS Word, and I'm only going to confine it to all documents that have a DOC extension, I'm not going to allow it to open up anything else, then I'm restricting my architecture to only MS Word products. I'm not using something that comes to mind right now would be another operating system, another word processing, like nothing comes to mind. Another word processor. Say I'm such a MS Word person that I only use that all the time. Well, let's say Notepad. If I want to have Notepad, I need to be able to install a plugin, or MS Word must be able to access Notepad files. Plant maintenance module, a module in SAP ERP that allows planning for preventative maintenance of plant machinery and managing maintenance resources so equipment breakdowns are minimized. Oh my gosh, this reminds me of ESCOM. ESCOM needs this module ASAP, this plant maintenance module, so that we don't have to have load shedding when and wherever they decide that there's a plant that's having maintenance issues and they are unable to supply the grid. Plant maintenance module. Another module, the production planning module, a module in SAP ERP that maintains production information. Production is planned, scheduled, and the actual production activities are recorded. Project system module, a module in SAP that allows for the planning and control of new R&D, that's research and development, construction, and marketing projects. This module allows for costs to be collected against the project budget and can be used to manage the implementation of the ERP itself. Another module that they'll have is a quality management module, a module in SAP that helps companies to plan and record quality control activities, such as product inspections and material certifications. I guess ESCOM could do with something like this, don't you think? Now, if I had to equate this to the Durban University of Technology, we also have a quality management module in place. So we have a department that ensures that excuse me, that courses registered at Durban University of Technology, they are indeed courses that are registered with the Council for Higher Education, that we are indeed teaching modules that are of a standard worthy of being at a University of Technology, right? So that could be a quality module or a quality department in quality. Let's go on. What's this thing called R/3? The first integrated information system released by the German software vendor SAP in 1992, which is now called SAP ERP. The ERP system contains the following main modules: sales and distribution, materials management, production planning, quality management, plant maintenance, HR, financial accounting, controlling, asset management, project systems, and workflow. By the way, workflow, Facebook is also trying to implement workflow. I saw that the other day. Please join me on Facebook. If you are, just look for me, Prinavan Govender, IT lecturer. What's this thing called return on investment, ROI? An assessment of a project's value calculated by dividing the project's benefits by the project's cost. Now, whenever you do anything, my dear student, always consider your return on investment. If you are going to be spending 40 minutes with me from 11 o'clock to 11:40 today for the lecture, then at the end of the lecture, you must have learned something new. If you did not, then you have wasted your time. Your return on the investment of 40 minutes has been a waste. If, another example of return on investment, you buy a motor vehicle for X amount, and after 5 years of use, you sell the vehicle for X amount plus something else, then you've actually made a profit. If, however, you had bought a vehicle for X amount, and after 5 years, you were unable to sell it, or you met an accident or something like that, and you're unable to make a profit from it, then your return on investment was negative. On that point, motor vehicles lose value. Invest in property, invest in land. That's a little side issue and advertisement. While I'm talking about that, think about Bitcoin. That's another nice return on investment. Okay, and the other return on investment, think about web trader. Mr. Hadebia, how's your web trading going, Mr. Hadebia? What's your return on investment?
I started yesterday. Actually,
Yes.
I bought stock in large, and doing the exchange forex one with the currency.
Yes. Yes. So from 100,000, how much? What's your capital now?
Yeah, I have to check this morning. I haven't checked.
Oh, okay. If you're going to be a stock broker, Mr. Hadebe, you need to be on checking it every day because stock will change. Okay, Mr. Hadebe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Won't you like to be a stockbroker one day, make lots of money by just sitting and looking at the computer screen?
Yeah, maybe when I get old.
What when you get old? Yeah, start from now. Go look for Bitcoin.
Yeah, so with the Bitcoins, I don't trust the Bitcoins. The Bitcoins, they can be it's like a scam to me. It's a scam. Yeah.
No. I've been following Bitcoins for the last couple of weeks now, and I'm thinking of investing in that. All right? But you do the research for me, Mr. Hadebe, and let me know. Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue with our definitions from chapter 2, because let's say my first goal for this course is to ensure that you have assessments and you write the assessments and pass the course. The talk about Bitcoins, that's by the way, all right? Now for you to have the assessments and to do that, Mr. Hadebe, you need to have some study material. So far, I've given you chapter 1. We've done the PowerPoint presentation. I've done the key terms from there. I did chapter 2. I gave you the PowerPoint. I'm doing the key terms from chapter 2 because this is what will appear in your assessments. Now, I'm still going to talk to Dr. Jolly and Dr. Mudley in terms of whether we're going to have an examination, a continuous assessment procedure, or what, right? Let's go to this thing called Sales and Distribution Module, a module in SAP ERP that records the sales orders and scheduled deliveries. SAP ERP software is produced by SAP. The previous versions were R3 and My SAP ERP. In fact, I've actually emailed SAP and I've asked for access to their cloud architecture or their programs. Let's look at another key term from chapter 2. Scalability. The characteristics of an information system that indicates the system's capacity can be extended by adding servers to the network rather than replacing the entire system. Scalability is a characteristic of client-server networks, but usually not of mainframe-based systems. So let's talk about this. We have the headquarters situated in Durban. Now we're opening up another branch in Johannesburg, and we've got so good. We now want to open up another branch in Cape Town. In order to do that, we're not going to buy a brand new system. We should all use a new system or an existing system and add to that. That's the world regarding scalability. Silo, I think I mentioned this to you last week, an unintegrated information system. Nobody works in silos. We don't have individual business function areas with hardware, software, and methods of processing. We don't work in a silo. We work in conjunction with other modules. Let's take this word, tolerance group, a range that defines limits on the transactions that an employee can process. For example, my tolerance with you guys is about 40 to 45 minutes or an hour. And I'm sure you guys have a tolerance as well. You don't want to listen to me for the next hour or two. And guess what I noticed on a Wednesday? Y'all have a lecture in the morning at 10, and then you have a lecture at 11. So I'm not sure if you're tired out by then. Let's look at another one, the workflow module in SAP ERP. This is used to automate any of the activities in SAP. It performs task flow analysis and prompts the employees if they need to take an action. Right now, Outlook has something similar to this. If I don't respond to an email, a couple of days, I notice it sends me a reminder and it requests whether I need to delete this action, remind me to have this action in another couple of days, or whether I can click on an icon that says that this email action has been completed and it's done. Okay, so that's chapter 2. Now for our assessment purposes, I know I shouldn't be telling you this, but go over the summary of chapter 1. Go over the summary of chapter 2. Go over the key terms in chapter 1. Go over the key terms in chapter 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at the case studies that I have, which I will be giving you. Look at some of the short type questions that I have, and that will be part of your assessment. Okay? When you are answering a question, use the words in the key terms from chapter 1 and chapter 2. So that tells the moderator that you are a student studying information technology, that you are a student studying ERP systems. So if you have to use the word like quality management module, project system module, or return on investment, or a word like electronic data interchange, then I know that you are talking big words, right? And yet you are on the process of acquiring a qualification. So I'm going to leave chapter 2 at this, and I'm going to just go through now some of the other aspects that I wanted to deal with you. You should, I'm just putting up on screen now the Windows Virtual Desktop. Let me take you there. And right. So today's lecture was the key terms. Yes, I've done this. Next time I'll do it from PDF, then I keep everything on par. I'd like you all to try this, the Windows Virtual Desktop. From your computer at home, you should be able to access our Windows Virtual Desktop. So this is the URL, https://www.windowsvirtualdesktop.microsoft.com. Using your DUT credentials, you should be able to access the server as if you were sitting in front of the computer. All right. Now, just before the lecture, I tried to access it, and for some odd reason, it was giving me an error message. I'd like you to try that, please. I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to post it in the chat. You will require this to be able to access the ERP software, SAP software. And let me find that. I'm going to put that in the chat. Mr. Hadebe, I hope you'd be able to access that for me, please. Try it out. You click on the link. It's in the chat. Let's put that link. And Control V. Right. So if you look at the chat, you should see the link to the Windows Virtual Desktop. I'm just going to write that, type it out, the Windows Virtual Desktop. Click on above link, use DUT credentials. When I say credentials, I mean your DUT username. And I hope you would be able to access that. By the way, there was a competition run last year. So that's the poster that I had, and I kept that available for us, right? Okay, so if you click on the link and you access it by means of your username and password, it should appear as if you are sitting in front of the computer in lab 5 in the on Ritson campus, right? So it's a Windows operating system, it's a virtual desktop, and you are using the computing power of DUT's server. Right, so here I spoke about client-server architecture, I spoke about centralized processing, distributed processing, and I actually want you to try it out for yourself as a practical exercise. Now, had we not been in lockdown, I would have split our 4 lectures for the week. One would have been a contact face-to-face lecture, one would have been a tutorial, one would have been self-study or with a tutor, and one would have definitely have been a practical lesson. Right now, I'm talking. I'm not showing you what this WVD is all about. All right, so let me try it out. Let's see if it works with me. So here's my HTTPS RDW web. I'm going to click on it. And when I click on that, it should take me through to the following screen, right? I'm going to share that screen with you. It takes me to the remote desktop environment, right? So there we go, and it says, oh, wow, it looks like I'm in. There we go. That's my name, Prinabin Govender. I'm now accessing the Windows Virtual Desktop. Oh, boy, that's cool. Let's go check it out. Allowed remote access. Now I don't need the clipboard. I don't need microphone. I don't need the printer. I'm going to say allow. Let's see if it picks up. Connecting and launching the default desktop. Ooh, this is cool. This is cool. All right. Opening remote port. Let's see. What does it do? Establishing secure connection. Mr. Hadebe, don't look at my password, okay, Mr. Hadebe? Let's see if it works. Connecting and launching default desktop. Oh, it looks like I'm in. Yay! Oh no, I'm not in. Oh man, the user profile service failed. This is sign in. User profile cannot be loaded. Oh no, oh no. All right, you don't worry about that. Maybe there's a fault on my side. Would you please try that out, Mr. Hadebe?
All right,
Mr. Hadebe. Right. So you're going to access the Windows desktop from home. And I'm going to check up with the technicians. What's happening? Why aren't we able to access the Windows virtual desktop? Because this, in my view, should be a practical module. You should be able to access all those facilities from. All right, so let's go on. The next thing I want to talk about is the ERP Basics from our, I'm calling this, I won't call it a study guide, I'm calling it a reference material, right? Reference. It's, I'd like to provide you with this. I'll put this up one day and then you can copy it and then I'll delete it because I don't want issues of copyright and all that goes with it, right? Okay, so ERP Basics. I spoke to you in theory about ERP. Now I'm talking to you about ERP Basics from the perspective of SAP. And remember I mentioned to you about master data or reporting structures. I think yesterday we spoke about exception reporting. There it is. In this ERP system, SAP, they have a business data module that supports the business transactions. Let's take it further. There we go. R3 Enterprise, My SAP ERP. That appears in Chapter 2 Key Terms. So this is from SAP itself. That's the example that they're mentioning. There's the architecture that they spoke about in SAP. Make it slightly smaller. Client server architecture. You should be able to tell me what that is. SAP R2, I think that was in 1995. They had centralized computing. Now we have My SAP ERP. In fact, this is pretty old as well. This is a legacy system, but now we're having cloud-based ERPs. Here we can read up a little bit about what happened in the 70s, the mainframe computer, client-server architecture to service-oriented architectures. There's those words, SAP R3, My SAP ERP. Yeah. There's the SAP architecture. You can go through that. We'll look at that. We will talk a little bit about it in detail. SAP Basics, SAP Web Application Server. And there's the notes that go. I'm going to extract what's relevant for our curriculum and our course. We obviously cannot do everything. In fact, one of the journal articles mentioned that yes, SAP has curriculum for universities, but they expect you to deploy it at university. Now, we don't have the time, nor know-how, nor effort to do that. We are looking at it from a theoretical lens. So that one day when you go out into business and you say, hey, I studied at DUT, and you said, yes, TP Governor was my lecturer, and he had a module called information technology. And if I didn't define information technology to you, or I did not define what is coding or programming, and then something would be wrong. If I spoke to you about having SAP and ERP, and I didn't talk to you about SAP R3 or My SAP or manufacturing module, then something is not right. Okay, so that's the lens that I'm looking at it. If you look at the pages, there's 21 of 1,181. I don't have the capacity nor the time to complete that. Our semester is basically about 15 weeks, and I've selected about 10 chapters for us to go through. I've already covered 2 chapters and the key terms from there. I still got another 7 or 8 more to go. I don't think I can go through 1,181 pages. If, however, you are intrigued by this, I'm pointing you in the right direction as to what and how, and you want to become SAP qualified, then yesterday I pointed you in the direction of SAP training, so that hopefully when you complete your diploma, your certification from DUT, you would have also have done a certification from maybe SAP or IBM, and that would make you more marketable. Don't you think so, Mr. Hadebe?
Yes, very true, sir, very true.
Great, and hopefully Mr. Hadebe will be telling us about his experiences on WebTrader, right, Mr. Hadebe? And tomorrow you're going to tell me how much of money you made or lost on WebTrader. So tomorrow, Mr. Hadebe,
okay.
Before we start our work, I'd like you to share your screen. I'd like you to practice that today on WebTrader and show us how you got to buy and sell Forex shares. Okay?
All right, no problem.
Right. While we at it, what's the rand dollar exchange, Mr. Hadebe?
I'm doing British pound.
Okay. So if you're a stockbroker and you're a future multi-millionaire making lots of money on the stock exchange, you need to know what the rand dollar exchange is, okay? Because are you buying in dollars or euros or pounds? What are you talking Forex?
I'm buying in pounds right now.
Ooh, in pounds, okay. All right,
yes.
Great to hear. I'm so happy. Mr. Hadebe is talking about WebTrader, he's talking about stocks, he's talking about buying in pounds. One go, did you know about WebTrader, Mr. Hadebe?
Yes. I'm a Standard Bank client, by the way. They've been telling
just
me
like
about.
me. Oh, that's cool. 1 week ago, did you buy a forex?
What that?
Forex. Did you do forex trading, foreign exchange?
No, I didn't. This is my first time.
So you answered a nice question. Return on investment. Within a week, you've learned something positive by attending this course. I'm so happy, Mr. Adebe. Yay! Well, that's so cool. Okay, so for now, we're going to leave it at that, Mr. Adebe. I'm opening it up. If there is any questions from anybody else, because I need to prepare for a meeting at 12. I have a meeting at 12. Anybody with a question for me? All right, let's go over the assessment, what I'd expect from you. I'd like it if you could try out the Windows Virtual Desktop. I'd like it if you could please try out the Web Trader. And I'd like you to try and, well, read through your Chapter 2 key terms and Chapter 1 key terms. I've put that on your WhatsApp group. Now you can delete all other WhatsApp groups. You don't have to go and look at all the pictures of good morning or the videos of dogs doing cute things. You need to use your WhatsApp to study for information technology. All right. Any questions? Anybody with a question, please?
Sir,
yes.
How do you get into the WhatsApp group for IT? Because I'm only in the tax policy one. I don't know how to. I've asked Mr. Naya, but then no response.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to, if you could send me a WhatsApp, and I'll post it on the postgraduate diploma site, right?
Okay.
Generally he'll respond to that. It's not my WhatsApp group. It's
Mr. Naya's.
Mr. Naya had set it up, and I just asked him to join. I'm not supposed to have a WhatsApp group and all that goes with it, but it's fun, and it's such a nice feature to have. I posted it in the group. I'll put my cell phone number out there. Give that to anybody. Okay.
Okay.
So you send me a WhatsApp, and I will ask Mr. Naya. He's one of the administrators to add you to the group. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And you're welcome, S. Mbele.
Yes.
And let me give you some rules about the WhatsApp group. No good morning, good afternoon, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, and all of that goes with it. Use the WhatsApp group for teaching and learning, okay? It's also to keep in contact with us, right, Ms. S. Mbele? Okay. That's what the WhatsApp is for, another rule for us. Thank you for that question, ma'am. Anybody else with a question? Oh, I should stop the recording. I don't want this to be in the recording. Let's stop the recording. Yeah.